And now I'm delighted to be joined here on Credlin and welcome the man who can't believe his luck. Just when he was working out how to sell more tickets to his Conservative conference, along comes advertising guru Kristina Keneally and knocks it out of the ballpark. Andrew Cooper, the organiser of the Conservative Political Action Conference in Sydney next week, welcome to Credlin.
Thank you, Rowan.
Can't believe your luck, mate.
Can't believe your luck. Look, it was always going to go well, but certainly Kristina and Elbow, big bouquets to them. Thank you very much. It was appreciated.
Now, listen, now on the serious note. So It's a very serious accusation, first of all. I mentioned, so the allegations are a cavalcade of intolerance. We've got the accusations of a talk fest of hate. Now, they're serious allegations. If they were made outside of parliamentary privilege, how would you respond? Well,
I know Raheem Kassam has challenged Kristina Keneally to make those allegations outside of Parliament, and I note that she hasn't made those specific allegations, so it'll be interesting. For me, though, they're just words. It's easy to make allegations. The question is, what do we make of it?
Well,
what do we think of it?
Let me tell you what I make of it, and we've got some great news which we're going to announce in a second about who is opening the conference, but don't go away. Great news there. I, for one, would be appalled if I thought there was any anti-Semitism in that conference. In fact, I would have nothing to do with it if I thought that were the case. And one of the allegations was to do with anti-Semitism. Can you guarantee me here and now, because otherwise I won't be turning up, will there be any anti-Semitism or not at that conference?
There'll be none of that. It's all not nonsense. We're not having any of that.
Thank you very much. Now, let's talk about this Kassam, Raheem Kassam.
Yes.
Okay, he's the main one that the allegations have been made at, and it's an ugly tweet, he said. We won't go into the details of it. You've been able to read it. And he's a pretty lively character on Twitter. Said some things that you can find offensive or not. Tell us a little bit about him, and then I'm going to play a clip just so people know who we're talking about, but just introduce him to us.
Well, Raheem Kassam is, for a long time, he was Nigel Farage's right-hand man.
Right.
And they're great mates.
In the
UKIP. In the UKIP and in the UK. And they're good mates, and we invited Nigel to come out and join us here in Australia because, guess what? Brexit's big news, right? We want to know what's going on. And who better to ask? And you might ask Boris, but he's pretty busy at the moment. So we get the next best thing. We had Nigel Farage, and the next best thing after that is Raheem Kassam.
And why is that?
Because they were the instigators and helped get this whole Brexit thing rocking along in the UK.
Okay.
And they're very eloquent.
Yep.
They're fun speakers. They know how to connect with people. Yep. Something that maybe Kristina should take notes on.
Well, let me just play the clip. Now, Raheem Kassam went on to become the editor of Breitbart, which is called the far right or alt right or hard right or extreme right or whatever. It's a newspaper. He edited that. That was the Steve Bannon magazine. He speaks on all sorts of topics. He's a former Muslim. So, there's certain Muslims who have left Islam, which carries with it, if you believe the teachings of Islam, the threat of apostasy, which is death and so on. So it's a big decision to make and a dangerous one. But he talks on all sorts of things. Let's have a look at this clip where he's discussing the situation in Gaza.
For the Israeli forces to respond in the way they have, I think this has been deliberate, as it always is, by Hamas to try and play the international media, to try and get sympathy on their side. But with the advent of social media, with more journalists, independent journalists, reporters on the ground, we're now no longer having to rely on a couple of people who are being spun a yarn by a terrorist entity. And I think the world is now making sense of this. The world is now managing to make sense of who these people are in Gaza and why and how often they hide behind children. So the Israeli response, in my estimation, has been perfectly proportionate.
Okay, so the bloke's clearly not a nutter. He's clearly articulate. He's clearly got strong points of view on Gaza. So it'd be interesting to hear what he has to say on Brexit. As you say, he was involved in it. Let's now look at the accusation. So this is one of the accusations from Kristina Keneally under the privilege of the Senate, laughably in a virtually empty Senate chamber. But just have a listen to what she said of him.
He has described the Quran, the holy book of the Muslim faith, as, quote, fundamentally evil. Mr. Kassam has campaigned for, quote, limited migration against what he describes as, quote, large-scale Muslim immigration. He has regularly attacked the LGBTI community with homophobic and transphobic comments on social media.
Now, whether unfairly or not, I earlier referred to Kristina Keneally as an ambassador for stupidity. Andrew, it strikes me that someone who is criticising Raheem Kassam for his, let's be honest, he's not a fan of the Islamic faith. But at the same time, she's attacking him for homophobia and transphobia. Is Kristina Keneally not aware that within all Islamic countries, or the majority of them, homosexuality is legal, and in many Islamic states, you will get whipped or even killed for your homosexuality? Is she not aware of the slight contrast?
It doesn't appear that she is aware, does it, Rowan? I mean, we can't speak. We don't know the mind of Kristina Keneally and who knows what. But, I mean, there's a whole range of stupid involved in that statement,
yes,
in my opinion. And, you know, she's talking about a man who has a lived experience as a Muslim that's grown up in a Muslim household, and now she's lecturing him about what he should say about his own personal lived experience. I mean, the arrogance of it is just outstanding. Now, I don't know what Raheem thinks of this, and I don't know what Kristina is trying to make of it all, but it just seems absurd to me that she would be lecturing someone about their own lived experience.
Precisely, and the idea that they should be banning people and that we shouldn't hear. Surely we want to hear what Mr. Kassam thinks, not only on Brexit, but I'd love to hear what he thinks about Islam, which he has referred to as a de facto state religion in Britain. Now, that's an important topic for discussion, and if you can't recognise that that's an important topic for discussion in our world, particularly when she is the Home Affairs Minister. Now, I'm going to go on a little bit more about Kristina Keneally. But first, I'm just going to play another part from that speech in the Senate where she's talking about the hatred, and talking to the empty Senate chamber. Let's have a look.
If the Home Affairs Minister allows Raheem Kassam into the country, he is encouraging a cavalcade of intolerance to continue at CPAC's Talkfest of hate.
Yes, so the empty chamber is fairly amusing. Your CPAC conference ain't going to be empty. It's going to be packed to the rafters.
It's going to be rocking. It's going to be rocking.
But I also find it extraordinary that she could be referring to the Home Affairs Minister, saying she wants the Home Affairs Minister to stop this guy coming into the country. Is this a clue to how she would behave were she Home Affairs Minister, which she would be if Shorten had won the election? I just quickly throw in there, I'm the only person who actually said that Shorten would lose the election. I always throw that in just to rile them up. But she would be the Home Affairs Minister. So she'd be banning people left, right and centre. Your conference would not exist, Andrew, if she were Home Affairs Minister. That's what I take from that grab.
Well, how can you take anything else? And you know, the test is if you are religious and you renounce your religion and later say bad things about that religion, perhaps if you're a Christian and you say some bad things about that, does that mean you're up for banning as well? Craig Kelly mentioned that if we're banning everyone who said a nasty thing on Twitter, we'd have very few tourists. You know,
look at the replies to my Twitter comments. Exactly. You'll find plenty there. Now, I also want to play you a little bit talking about Kristina's, I suppose, credentials to be our Home Affairs Minister. Have a listen to Kristina Keneally on the ABC's Q&A several years ago on the topic of open borders.
I think we as a Labor Party have ceded the ground on asylum seekers and this debate to the Conservatives for far too long. We've allowed the debate to be held on that we'll determine who comes to this country and the manner in which they come, and we'll stop the boats. We've bought into that.
Now, that's the mindset of Kristina Keneally, that basically John Howard's entire structure of we will decide who comes to the country and who won't, stopping the boats, Tony Abbott stopping the boats, Scott Morrison, Peter Dutton stopping the boats. Her genuine belief, when she was being honest in an interview, was that no, none of that should occur.
Yeah.
So, Andrew, what would it be like for Australia to have Kristina Keneally as the Home Affairs Minister?
Well, I think we'd have very much more of an authoritarian streak running through the government. But I would like to point out, Rowan, that at CPAC, it is a contest of ideas. So we have different speakers.
Sure. Okay.
So there's lots of different opinions. And, you know, I'd probably fall more on the pro-immigration. I think immigration has driven this country forward, and I'm very much in favour of immigration. Others don't feel the same way, and
so
these things get discussed.
Tell us about some of the other speakers you've got before we make our big announcement in a second.
Oh, I'm excited about this announcement. Look, we've got, Janine Pirro, who's a Sky News host, very well known, very close to Donald Trump, known Donald Trump for 30 years. And she's going to share with her some of the stories that predate his presidency.
This is the American Janine Pirro.
Janine Pirro, yes, Fox News, beg your pardon, Fox News host. We have US Congressman Mark Meadows, very senior in the Republican Party, speaking. We have Matt Schlapp, who's the chairman of the American Conservative Union, and perhaps Janet Albrechtsen, chairman of the IPA, and she says chairman.
Good.
She doesn't say chairwoman.
Good on
Janet's speaking, and there's ex-Prime Minister Tony Abbott speaking.
We've got Peter Credlin.
Peter Credlin's.
Nigel Farage.
We've got.
Okay, here we go.
Here we go.
Not keep them in suspense any longer. Who's going to open the conference on Friday morning?
It's going to be the originals. We're going back and having the originals.
Who are?
Rowan Dean, Mark Latham and Ross Cameron. And look out, Eddie Fairfax, journalists in the room.
Back on the stage together.
Back on the stage together.
Okay, all needs a drummer, and we could rock into some old songs. Looking forward to it very much. Thank you so much for coming on, Andrew Cooper. Looking forward to your sellout conference. And again, big thanks to Kristina Keneally for helping with those ticket sales. I reckon there's a lot of rock bands out there who
it's fantastic.
should put Kristina on their payroll to help them sell a few tickets. We'll be back with lots more coming up. We've got Brendan O'Neill in a second. Thank you, Andrew, so much for coming.
Thank you, Rowan.
And good luck with the conference. Back in a second.